right. Well, welcome everybody. This is Tom Randall from GoldenCare, and with my partner in crime here, Dennis Reiner. And again, we've both been in this business for a long time. So if you're new and this is your first webinar with us, welcome. We've had a lot of fun here in these last few months with this Integrity Short-Term Care Initiative. And Dennis and I have been out in the long-term care fields for years and years, as you can see. And we've also had the opportunity and pleasure of moving into the extended care, which includes the short-term care and the home health care type products that we have in this short-term care initiative. And one of the things that Dennis and I have really enjoyed about it is trying to simplify it and go out there and get people excited about offering short-term care or extended care to folks who just haven't been out there doing it. So today is kind of an open discussion. We knew when we booked this, the day before Thanksgiving, we'd have lower numbers. We know we're not going to get a lot of people who have time to jump on. So today we're just going to open it up, and I'm going to allow you guys to jump on and ask questions or have any feedback if you want. We can keep this relatively short if you'd like, because I know, like I said, this Coach's Corner was more, last time we did it, we had a pretty nice group and people were just going back and forth asking questions about, what kind of products do you recommend? How do they pay? And a lot on the other side about how to get agents' attention and those type of things. So again, if you haven't been on any of these webinars before, I guess today I could spend a minute on it. The big key is that we're not wasting our time. There's so much value. We had a webinar called Establishing the Why that we talked to our business partners at Integrity. And we talked about the fact that, there's a couple edges of it. You can look out on the emotional side of it and realize these facts. Dennis and I have been doing this a long time, and these facts haven't changed for a lot of years. You know what I mean? There's people out there, especially when you're looking at short-term care, they're going to go on claim for hip replacements, knee replacements, surgeries, and then those more catastrophic claims when they need extended care just on the custodial type level, and people are just not prepared for it. They don't realize how valuable these products are. And 70% of folks out there, once they hit 65, they're going to need some type of extended care, whether it's those short recovery type cares or the longer custodial type cares. And, there's a huge deal in America with 3 out of every 5 personal bankruptcies are because of medical costs. And a lot of times it's these older people who just weren't prepared for, having a medical bill that they weren't ready for it. And Dennis will tell you in a lot of our sales presentations, we'll talk about this is the largest unplanned, unfunded liability exposure Americans have left. And if you look at that middle one, 90% of adults have never had a conversation about it. And it goes in all realms. And we do want you to know that what Dennis and I, again, have been forced to, and a lot of times just by necessity, we've had to really study this market and everything that's going on in the market. And at the end of the day, in the year 2030, all these stats from 25 years ago, right, Dennis, with the baby boomers, they were saying, hey, 2030, you better watch out because the government's not going to be able to feed out the money like they've been. And we've already seen those funds getting smaller and smaller, and nursing homes going out of business because the government can't do it themselves. And it's scary to think about the fact that, we had poorhouses in this country not that long ago. And again, we'll teach you how to push the easy button during sales where you're not going to have to scare the pants off your people you're talking to. But there is a shifting market, and there's a boom coming. We call it the perfect storm. People in the next 8 years, you're going to be amazed at how easy it is to start conversations about this type of product and these type of protection for families, because they're going to realize, hey, there's no way that it's going to happen, whether you're Democrat or Republican or anywhere in between. The government can't get it done with those coffers. It would bankrupt our whole nation if you had the tax enough to cover everybody and everything. Knowing how big, there's a $4 trillion medical health market out there in America. So we know we have some issues and problems, but the best part about it is you have a solution and you can really help your clients. So part of that, Dennis, if you want to jump in, I know I'm dominating, but before we get into a little more open discussion, if people want to jump in, that'd be great. Why don't you talk a little bit about the shifting market? Because I know we came from those long-term care dregs.
Yeah, Tom. Thanks, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving Eve here today. The market has changed over time. The market, these products are evolving. They're getting better. They're getting more consumer friendly. And when back in the day, long-term care, it was, as Tom indicated, more of an emotional based sale. We had to not scare people, but you had to play to the heartstrings of the emotion of not wanting to be a burden on their family and wanting to maintain independence and all of these other things that you'd have to bring up. But the reality is that was back when we were selling to 72-year-olds, and we were placing about 90% of the business. And what's happened now is the market has shifted and underwriting's gotten a lot tougher. That's why we have these three proprietary products with Manhattan Life, Wallaby, and GTL, because the products have evolved. These short-term care, or what we call extended care products, have less underwriting. There's less riders, so they're not confusing to clients, and they're not confusing, quite frankly, to agents. And they're much more affordable. They're 30 to 50% lower in actual cost, and yet you don't have to compromise the comprehensive nature of these plans. That you can still design some robust plans, and we might talk about that a little bit as well. But just know that the future is really bright, and the future is really in this direction of these types of products that are going to be more consumer friendly and actually more agent friendly as well. And so, Tom, I think as we look at the map, and we always talk about the lineup here, that we're in 37 states with the GTL Recover Cash. Omniflex is in 32, with two more states getting ready to be onboarded by middle December. Oregon there and on the left, and Rhode Island there on the right. And Wallaby just came out in August, and so we're anticipating in early 2024 there'll be some additional states coming on for Wallaby. And when it's all said and done, those are about in that mid 30 range is about what we can expect with those types of products. And the home healthcare is very similar. GTL, they kind of pioneered this idea of standalone home healthcare offerings, a handful of years ago, and they have had tremendous success. And then Manhattan kind of followed suit and developed a product very similar to GTL's. And you can see the previous version of the home healthcare Select is their legacy product, and those states will eventually be select states. And the previous visual showed kind of those states as being gray, and this visual shows the kind of the purple color, if you will, and that's for a product that is not an insurance-based product, but it's actually a home care product where the member is actually, so we don't call it the insured, we call it the member. Think of it like AAA. You're gaining a membership, and you're buying home care hours, and it's in all 50 states, and it really rounds out our portfolio because we want to make sure we have solutions for clients. And Tom, you know how important that is, and we've seen some really surprisingly some very strong sales with this particular product.
Absolutely. And again, this today, for some of you, a couple of you might have jumped on a little bit after we started, and I just want to let you know that, when Dennis and I booked these webinars, we talked about the fact we did 30 webinars, our first batch around early on a couple months ago. Those finished up a month and a half ago, probably only. And then we started our second batch where we've done, we have, I think, 48 webinars scheduled in 38 days, I think it was. So when we got up here to Thanksgiving, obviously we don't have any webinars tomorrow or the next day. We did decide today to sneak this in, and we knew that we would probably have smaller numbers, and we do, but please don't let that make you shy. I did open up and allow you guys to unmute if you'd like to. With Coach's Corner and what we talked about when I did the introduction, we did talk a little bit about, I got to get back to this screen. We talked a little bit about how we have all the tools, and I could go through that today and show you that we have recruiting tools. I can get you on the site, show you all this other stuff about our support and remember, they're unique codes. If you happen to be an Integrity partner and you're on this call today, they're unique codes. So if you're out there sending to your people, even if you're not one of our Integrity partners, but you're in their hierarchy and you have a big agent base, contact us. And you know what? We'll find a way to get you unique codes so you can go out and recruit more of your sub agents if you happen to be in that spot. Because our biggest goal here, again, remember in my intro that I didn't want to get on my soapbox too tightly here the day before Thanksgiving, but and maybe is pertinent. There's such a need in America. We need to go out and help these folks, and we can do wonders. But at the same time, that's the emotional side. On the other side of it, that I didn't get too deep into. It's just really nice for you as an agent or as an agency owner or manager, or whatever you might be. There's so much positives to go out and start the conversation. We can show your agents or yourselves how simple it can be, and we'll show you that we have all the tools here during this coaches corner. And the big thing that we need from you guys is just to realize, not only can you do the moral obligation of helping folks who really are going to thank you later because it's so important, but it also is wonderful for your persistency if you're an agent selling other products, whatever they might be. It's wonderful for your pocketbook and your checkbook and your family's well-being, because we know it's not a hobby. You go out and help people with these type of products. They're very nice commission based for pretty much by and large across the board with all the products in our Integrity Short-Term Care Initiative. These type of products, we can get some really good commissions out to pay renewals as well. So you can do a really good job. And of course, we'll let you work with your own network marketer partner to find out what your level is exactly. So we don't talk commissions on these calls, even the coaches calls. But I do want you to know, you can become a trusted advocate more and above and expand your reach with your client so that they trust you for other types of advice. And, you know, the old thing in sales 101, right? If you have 2 or 3 products in the same house, it's much, much tougher for them to get pulled away next year. If you're selling med sups or Medicare products, for example, we know that's part of your job, right? Is you got to keep those sales every year. And this is one of those things that you can do a tremendous help to your own block of business if you start adding other products in. And this is a perfect fit with these short-term or home health care only plans, these extended care products. So
hey Tom, let's let's see, since we have it open, let's jump in, and we'll pick back up on all the availability. But since it's Coach's Corner, let's go ahead and see if we've got any questions already for those that are unmuted, because we really want to make sure that you're taking your time here today, and we want to make sure that we're helping you individually and collectively, that your question may benefit someone else that's on the call as well.
You bet. And usually these are just one-way conversations, if you call it a conversation, where we're yapping at you. Today I did go up, and I think for every attendee I clicked ability to speak and asked to unmute. You don't have to, obviously, but I know I did this last time, and we had a couple agents saying I couldn't find the unmute button. So it should be on that bar at the bottom, usually the bottom or the top of your screen. I think it's usually the bottom. Just look at the little microphone there, and it'll show that there's a line through it, and you can click on mute. So I can't do it from my side. I can just give you the permission. Go ahead.
I have a question that I've had a couple of clients ask. Do these short-term care plans, do they pay the facility or the care provider or the client directly, or how do they work exactly with paying?
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Dennis. I'll let you do that because we will explain the indemnity side of it and the flexibility of most of these plans for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, unlike traditional long-term care and even some of the asset-based plans that are reimbursement, these are full cash plans. And so you may not even, whatever benefit you select, let's assume that you selected a benefit facility side that was, or let's use home care side, that was $300 a day, and you got services that was only $100 that day, then you're getting paid the full $300. And remember, these plans are not, there's no 1099, there's benefits are not taxable when you receive them. So it gives a lot of flexibility in the sense that, having them be what we call indemnity or full cash in comparison. Not that there's anything wrong with reimbursement, but the idea is that you can, in essence, in many cases, you may not be maxing out those services on what you're benefit eligible for, and you might be actually saving and putting some of that money away, and you can save it for future, for future care needs, as I just illustrated. So they all work the same, both on the short-term care, extended care side, the OmniFlex, the Recover Cash, the Wallaby, and they work exactly on that way with the Manhattan and the GTL. The True Freedom is home care hours, but there is a provision by which you can actually pay a friend or neighbor. You cannot pay a family member. So that also could be a cash, if you want to look at it from that standpoint of getting cash out of those for those hours as well.
You bet. You bet. And the only thing to add on that is they're very, very user friendly. That's one of the biggest things. And I'm going to segue a second. Sorry, Dennis, but one of the biggest things about these type of products that people don't realize, and that I think is a huge sales point, and some of our agents have been very successful using it, is once you get them leaning in and you start talking about whether they should get a plan or not. One of the biggest things out there, remember, before the internet, we had no information. And now after the internet, we have too much information, right? And one of the biggest pluses of these types of plans, and there's a lot of them that I'm not going to bore you with every one of them today by any stretch, but is the care coordination side of it. One of the biggest things that people love about having any type of extended care protection in-house is that they have the ability to say, you know what, it's a scary time for the family, not maybe having a recovery from a surgery or anything like that. That's not as big a deal. But when you get into a true, longer term extended care situation, it's a scary time for the family. A lot of times it's after a stroke or something that's major. And it's like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Does dad have any insurance? I don't even know. Oh, he does. The biggest thing we find that is one of the biggest pluses, and I use it in the sales side of it when we teach about sales training, talk to them about care coordination and talk to them about one of the best things you'll love about having a policy is that you're not going to have to get on the internet and go, where do I get help for dad who had this stroke or this help? The doctors at the hospital are going to give you a little bit of information. But when you have an insurance policy, it's really nice because you have somebody out there who's looking over your back and helping you out, saying, you know what, here's the type of care you're going to need, and they can help you with that care coordination. And it's really a wonderful part of it to know that that's there. So long way to get in. Sorry, Dennis, but the other part I wanted to talk about is they're very user friendly. Most of the time with the upper left products you see on your screen, when they have facility coverage, sometimes it's scary for the family where they're saying, I don't want to deal with the billing and stuff. And they'll coordinate and work with the actual facility and pay them in most cases. I believe all the carriers up there have that ability to actually pay right to the facility, because most of the times your daily benefit's going to be enough to cover it, or not quite enough to cover the entire bill, but they'll work with you and make it easy as possible for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, the question
Yeah,
came in
thank you
about.
so much.
Oh, thank you. The question came in about on the Manhattan on the Home Healthcare Select. Yes, the maximum benefit is $450 a day, and that's for the designated services that you see on the brochure, and which I think there's approximately 8 or 9 of those services. And also, in addition to that $450 a day, there is the ability to get on that deluxe a $120 a day for 60 days, or another approximately $7,000 or $7,200 for a home health aide. And so, that's a pretty, for the affordability part of this on those Home Healthcare Select plans, as well as with the GTL, those are actually a pretty big bang for the buck, and the underwriting is cast a lot wider. And again, remember, with all these plans, it doesn't matter if other insurance pays, it doesn't matter if Medicare pays. There's no coordination of benefit with these particular products. So these products will pay in addition to any other form of insurance paying, or if Medicare happened to be paying. I think Tom's pulling this up right now.
Yeah.
For us to.
Yeah, just to show it again. Mainly what I was doing there is showing you guys that that's one of the beautiful things. You'll hear me say it 100 times, and I'll probably say it 2 more times today. We don't throw you out of that plane without a parachute. And right on our site there, our integritystc.com, you saw that I went to GTL. I think the question was actually about Manhattan. Sorry, but
It was, yeah.
Going back. But either one, their plans are very similar. And what I wanted to show you is that you can go in here, and I clicked the wrong button because I can't chew gum and talk at the same time. I should have clicked desktop. You can download those files, but I wanted to click desktop. And if you look at this brochure, and we're not going to do product training today, but I wanted to clarify what they're asking about is like this benefit here is 450 per day, just like it is with the Manhattan, for whoever asked that question. So it's very similar, and these are not identical, but real close. And what we wanted to let you know is that with this plan, they said it pays 200 for nursing, but you might get 450 per day. Is there a way to maximize that? And you know what? There really is a way to do a better job of maximizing it, because you'll plan your healthcare accordingly. If I had this plan and I was helping my father or somebody who had this plan, I would say, you know, let's try to group some of these. If you have a speech pathologist coming in that same day, where they say, hey, can we come in Tuesday? If you know you're going to have chemotherapy specialists or occupational therapists come in, try to get them in on the same day, because guess what? If they come in on the same day, we can do 200 plus 200 and pay 450, where if they come in separate days, it would have to pay out the actual cost. So I hope that answers your question. I think that's maybe where you're going, is you can certainly plan your care, and when you're scheduling things, that's part of that coordination, right? You try to plan it out to say, let's get the most bang for our buck from our healthcare plan.
And you know, these plans, they look very similar on the surfaces, you know, both in Manhattan and GTL, because GTL was the, you know, the first one out of the chutes a handful of years ago, and Manhattan, you know, they all tend to kind of clone each other with certain features. You know, one small difference is that GTL has a 360-day benefit, so that 450, if you took 450 and times it by 360, that would be a total value in that policy of 162,000. Whereas with the Manhattan, it's actually the same 450, but it's 365 days, or 164,250. And then, you know, we could go back and talk about advantages that GTL would have over the Manhattan. At the end of the day, you want to look at state availability, because there may be states that GTL is available in that Manhattan isn't available in. And again, pricing across the board, even with some of the slight differences, is pretty comparable between both of the carriers. And again, we're not getting into a full-blown training, but I hope that answers that question that came through the chat. And again, if anyone wants to jump on and actually talk live, we're happy to hear your voice and happy to have a discussion. And if there's any other questions that they get asked, sometimes we get questions that on these Coaches Corner that deal not so much with products, but they deal with kind of, you know, things that you should be doing to prepare to be better at your profession. And so we can address any questions that you may have, whether they're product specific or whether they're just about selling in general.
Yep. And please do. And again, I'm going to jump in while you're talking. If you say something, I'll be quiet. I just don't know if we're going to have dead air. Up on this site, remember, Integrity Short-Term Care, integritystc.com. That's our homepage. And if you go to that homepage, I think I can do that here. Go to that homepage. That's where you're going to see everything. And remember, living, breathing site, right? We have new tools coming on here. We have new things coming on all the time. We'll update those product availability states. And something new, shout out to our web designer, Corey Fountain, gal from Florida, who does tremendous work for us. This is new here. So if you happen to be an agent on the phone right now and you want to get appointed with all these carriers or some of them, we recommend doing all of them if you can, because they come in handy during different things, as you'll see during our designing a plan and our sales webinars. But it'll be through your network partner that got you on this call, so don't worry about that. And if you click get appointed on here, this is new now, where we put this on here to make it easier for folks. Probably can't read it very well because it's nice light print, but you put your name, email address, your phone address, and your upline integrity partner. Even if you don't have that in there for some reason, I think it'll still ask for it. So you probably know who it is right off the top of your head, obviously, but we do have unique codes. Whoever invited you, we'd be able to track it down that way as well. But then you can click whatever carriers you want, or click all products, do a little thing to make sure you're not a robot, and then click sign me up. And basically what that does is comes into our administrative team, and we get that and forward it on to all the appropriate parties, so you can get appointed very, very easily with this program. So anybody else have any questions or any comments or anything we can do to do this program better, or anything to make your life easier? All right, we got a quiet group. We knew we'd get a small group.
Yeah, no, hey, it's they're probably all just thinking about gratitude for during this Thanksgiving season, and we know that probably many of you have got family in, and you're trying to take that time to be with your family, and we know that it's a short work day, but again, everything is here on this site that that's designed to help you, and it's important when you do have downtime, and you're maybe you're after you've had your Thanksgiving meal, and maybe you're just deciding that you're going to take a little break from all the activity, and it's important that you do spend time to really prepare. Preparation is such an important part of your success with any selling of any products. And as Tom's navigating around, anyone else want to put something in the chat, or another?
I did see another one, D. One of the attendees, it was anonymous, said, can you explain how restoration, and I don't know if they've been on one of the webinars and they know this is a valuable fact for other people, but this is a big one. And I want to make sure you understand that, because some folks who have come from long-term care legs, and restoration in a true long-term care plan isn't as big a deal, because to go on a claim for long-term care, what Dennis and I grew up in was that you needed to have help with 2 of 6 ADLs, or activities of daily living, and you had to have a doctor or licensed physician or a healthcare person say, oh yeah, they're in tough shape, they're going to need help for at least 90 days. And that was before you looked at elimination periods, which were usually 90 days, where you had to wait before you even get paid benefits anyway. But that 90-day verification was something that was a big deal with long-term care. So most of the time then, if you went on claim, we would have restoration, but it wouldn't be as common as we do with these plans. These plans have a really nice restoration built in, and they're a little bit different for each plan, and we won't get into details, but basically, in a nutshell, short-term care plans get used and they get reused, because think about what I said earlier. You can have a claim here. You don't have to have 90-day certification. So it basically says if you need help with 2 of 6 activities of daily living, which mean bathing and dressing, think about those major ones: bathing, dressing, and eating. When you look at that, you have a hip replacement, a knee replacement, surgery recovery, you have a fracture, your walker. When you get a little bit older, a little fracture is a bigger deal, and you might really need help with some of those everyday activities of daily living. So long way to get to where I'm going. With these plans, you're going to see a lot of people saying, yeah, I bought a big full 360-day plan that covers me 360 at home and 360 in my nursing home if I need it, or my facility. But what happens is you're going to say, I only needed 10 days in my facility to recover and have some therapy in there, or live in there after a major fall or a stroke, and maybe I got better. And then I go back home and I need help at home for a while, but not very long. You know what? This was a minor stroke. I just needed help for 30 days, or I had a fall or hip replacement, whatever it might be. So once you're healthy for 180 days, what this plan does is says, hey, we know you're going to use this for shorter claims. We're going to throw those days that you used right back into your plan, up to your daily max or your plan maximum again. And we're going to put that 360 out there again at home and in the facility if you use some days, waiting for that catastrophic claim or that more extended claim. And it'll do that for some of these plans multiple times. And it'll end up saying, yeah, we restore several times. In like Omniflex's case, very liberal. It'll restore multiple times and say, you bet, keep using that. And we have a whole webinar on there, not a webinar, but a fast facts video on your site. If you look at those fast facts videos, I'm going to pull there, Dennis, but you jump in while I do if you'd like.
Yeah, I think, any of these questions that come up, like restoration or with Omniflex, there's, part of the way that we've taken underwriting off the table and avoiding adverse selection for the carrier is the ramp up. So feel free, Tom's showing right now all the different videos, and we have them both on product specific topics, and we also have them on conceptual topics as well. And some of them are shorter, just a few minutes, and some are, full-blown webinars. And again, they're available. It's a library that's available, and just like our talk today, this webinar today, this will be recorded and it'll be actually put on the site as well, so you can refer back to it.
Right. And we have two different video libraries that you just saw that were right on your sales and marketing. You can go to the first one that talks about I'm going to try to find it again here for you. The full webinar showcase. That's most of these webinars like we're doing today, but we have a lot of them on product training and everything like Dennis said. And then we have Fast Facts video here that's not only over in our product area, but also here that'll show you and restoration. If it's not laid out here, I guarantee it's in this spot. If this is the Fast Facts, you'll see in here restoration, I'm sure somewhere. It's in here, I promise.
It's right there, Tom. It's right there in the middle at the bottom.
There it is. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Thanks, bud. So anyway, restorations, packs a punch. I mean, one of the things we talk about, since we have you, and I know we'll let you go in a second, but we talk about short-term care and how we use the word extended care. And some of you, I see names that have been, but I see a couple new names. And when we talk about short-term care, it's not named as well as it should be, because these plans, remember, can be $1 million policies that we can design a top level plan, and we can flip it over to the other side and design really nice smaller plans that can be super affordable. And we have webinars on both those type of topics that we talk about. So very flexible as well with these policies. Anybody else? I see another one there. Did you read that one, Dennis?
No, I didn't.
Are other agents having an easier time introducing and talking about short-term care compared to long-term care? What kinds of feedback have agents given? Yeah, that's actually, we've got some really good feedback so far. This is a relatively new endeavor for us, obviously expanding to all of our integrity partners and friends. But the question was talking about, have they had some luck with it and how is it going on introducing it? And it's early on, but the feedback we've got is really done well for the fact that it's easy for you folks, if you're out there selling the life insurance or final expense or Medicare products, it's out of your comfort zone. So that always takes time. We know that it's going to take time for agents to feel comfortable. And that's why we really stress our website all the time to say, we have the parachute for you. You're not going to be on your own. We got all the tools you need, but all it takes for you folks, because you have an existing relationship at some level, you don't have to worry about calling cards and mailing cards and doing all this stuff that makes it so much tougher for a regular agent who's out there trying to start from scratch. What we see with short-term care, and I guess I can be honest with you, we made a living, we've been very super successful, written over $1 billion of long-term care over the years. But at the end of the day, it's a small fishbowl of agents who specialize and say, all I do just about is long-term care. It's one of those major things that they've focused on. Those agents are super successful, but there's a very few of them, right, Dennis? I mean, there's probably 2,000 or 1,000 across the country who really do just long-term care successfully. With short-term care and extended care, this market is taking off like wildfire, because a lot of those agents who used to sell long-term care moved over to sell Medicare and annuities, and now they're coming back and they're saying that, hey, I can have the best of both worlds. I can sell what I'm used to, and I have an existing client base to talk about short-term care, and now they're making some tremendous money in short-term care. So listen to our webinars on sales, and you'll see that it's been really easy to open the door and start conversations with your existing clients.
I think part of that question was I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Do any of these short-term care plans factor in cost of living increases, like the traditional long-term care plans do? That's what a lot of the clients are, looking for, that future protection as well as the current benefit.
Yeah, you bet, Dennis. Go ahead. I'm going to let you take that.
These plans have inflation, which they either can get their inflation all up front by buying more benefit up front, as with the OmniFlex, up to $400 a day for facility and $300 a day for home care. But you can also add an inflation. Most of the carriers, with the exception of GTL, have a simple inflation, which doubles in approximately 20 years. GTL actually does have a compound inflation, but it's only on the facility side that doubles in a little under 15 years. Now, I wanted to come back for a quick second, I think on the other part of that question was asking about LTC agents, I believe, Tom. And we are seeing a big transition of our long-term care agents. Yes, they're still writing long-term care at the age appropriate and health appropriate individuals. But what they're deciding to do when they get to that fork in the road is when they see that it's going to be problematic to go down that path of long-term care, we're seeing a lot of our long-term care agents, both on our career side as well as on the brokerage side, who have actually pivoted to make their life easier. They just don't want to deal with waiting 45 days to hear back from the carrier that their client was turned down after a phone interview, after asking for medical records. They like the broader market that Tom just spoke to, the Medicare market. They want to hit the easy button too. They don't want to necessarily complicate their life and go through, because declinations have risen so dramatically on both the asset-based hybrids as well as the traditional long-term care when we get into ages above 60. So all depends on who you're selling to. We're seeing a lot of success in the work site with long-term care on the employer side, but again, it is as Tom said, it really is an emerging market, and our mission is to reinvent and reinvigorate this particular space with innovation of these plans, and we're having some great success.
Absolutely. And again, thanks, Dennis, for bringing that up, because I was pushing more towards just our integrity partners in Medicare and life. Totally right. We're breaking records here at GoldenCare ourselves as an agency, because we've had short-term care just take off for exactly the reasons Dennis said, as our long-term care folks have really stepped up. Because back when we started, remember, Dennis and I are getting to be old coots. When we started, you could go out and send a mailer out and get an 8% return, and everybody was hammering on your door to get long-term care and get some type of protection. But nowadays, when you send out a mailer, you just don't get a big response. So having this availability for our agencies and ourselves that write long-term care traditionally, this has been a huge godsend, because now they know they're going to be able to offer a product to pretty much anybody that sends in a card. And they're going to have the ability to at least get some type of protection. So it's been a godsend there as well. So,
and the age bands have really changed over long-term care. We used to, as I said, we used to write back in the day, the average age was 72. Well, a lot of these products today only go up to 75 or 79 on the traditional or asset-based side. And what you're seeing with the home care only going all the way up with Manhattan, all the way up to 89. GTL goes up to 85. True Freedom has no age limit. The rates are the same for all ages. And on the short-term care, extended care side, again, Wellaby starts at age 40 and goes all the way up to 89. And then, again, the Recover Cash goes up to 85. And on the GTL Home Care, it's actually 61 to age 85. It has a little bit of a higher start age. And in Manhattan is, again, the 45 to 89. That's opening up a huge market for individuals who normally had given up. They got to be age 70 and they just thought, there's nothing I can really do. My health isn't the best. And we're seeing a resurgence of us really, what we like to say is going back to the future, with being able to have clients that we can help more people, not just help the people that are in the sweet spot, but we're helping these individuals who are in those upper age markets. We see sales, come in all the time. And it's amazing when we're seeing a 75-year-old or an 80-year-old or an 83-year-old, and they're getting coverage. It just gives you as the agent the opportunity to expand your base and not have to say, oh, someone doesn't fall into my the pre-retirement age and therefore they're not a candidate for me to have a conversation. You can help a lot more folks today because of not only the wider underwriting, but also because of the age band on these particular products. And again, that's why we fight so hard on state availability, trying to get more states, because we know that we want to try to, help in those states that traditionally we would have had coverage, like with a Mutual of Omaha as an example. So
Yeah.
all good things as far as where the market's going, and I think for those of you on this call, just fasten your seatbelt because it's going to be a great ride. It's going to be we had a great ride the first time around, and I believe this ride is the second bite at the apple is going to be even bigger than the success that we had, as Tom indicated, writing over $1 billion of long-term care premium. So
you bet. And again, we'll wrap it up here today. And remember, integritystc.com. And as we show you this, and remember that site is the main place to go to. And besides that, the next step is up to you as far as contacting the marketer who got you on this call and getting appointed, or going to our site. And remember, you can do that right on the site if you haven't done that already, and click get appointed right here. But what I want to do is let you know that, number one, from Dennis and myself, I know we share the same thoughts, and we want to make sure we wish you a very, very happy Thanksgiving, and be thankful for what you have as you're looking at your life and those around you, because, again, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I look at that and I have to go back and grab my soapbox and keep it near me a little bit, because remember, there's 10,000 of those baby boomers turning age 65 and 70 every day. And by the year 2030, they're all going to be at that age where they're going to be looking to claim right in the face if they haven't already went on claim. So 70% of those folks are going to use these type of products. So remember, be thankful for what you have, and be thankful for having the opportunity to go out and help people beyond what you ever could before with some of your other product lines for a lot of you on this call. So this is something that can do wonders. And again, I've been so blessed to be in this company, in this market for so long, that we know we've had the ability by helping agents and going out ourselves to really help a lot of people when they come at one of their scary times in their life. So thank you very much for taking your time. We want to bless you and hope that you have a great, safe weekend, no matter if you're traveling or not, and enjoy your family, hopefully, and loved ones. And again, we'll be here for a fantastic rest of the year in 2024. So Dennis, you can close her up, and thanks everybody.
Yeah, no, Tom, I think you said it all. Thanks everyone, and continued success, and just remember that your clients rely upon you. You need to be the resource, and because if it's not you, it's going to be someone else. And again, there's so much opportunity that's in front of you with the innovation of these products, and really the opportunity to find different ways to get in front of more people. So have a great Thanksgiving, have a very safe holiday weekend, and come back and join us next week for another webinar.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
The next step is yours. Contact your marketer for more information and to start offering short-term care solutions to your clients. And be sure to sign up for our other short-term care hot topic webinars.